listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And our main website, our main radio website, where you can listen to the X-Zone 724, 365, as well as the show Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. until midnight Eastern, is at www.xzoneradiotv.com, and our new podcast site, xzonepodcast.com. My guest this hour is a lady I've had the pleasure of having on the show before. Her name is Misa. And Misa has been trained and certified in various consciousness technologies and healing modalities, including matrix energetics and EDUK. She is a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and has been a spiritual reader, healer, teacher, and animal communicator for over 40 years. She was twice ordained Gnostic priest and non-dimensional. Holy cow, I'm having a problem with this one. Oh, for goodness sake, denominational, there you go, Christian minister. She has been a student of the teachings of the Ascended Masters for over 45 years. As a result of her personal relationship with the Masters, she now has an energy streaming through her that is proving to be consciousness raising and healing. She has started a healing ministry in order to make this energy available to more people and offer individual and group sessions. Now, for more information on Misa, here's the website, www.mesah.weebly.com. That's www.mesa.weebly.com. And I may as well tell you, X-Zone Nation, why I had a bit of a problem a few moments ago when I was giving you the bio. My staff did not change it from the way it was received by Misa to the way I should read it. So I had to go along and changing I to my, and it was just a little thing. So Misa, my apologies.
Oh, no problem.
So how are you, dear friend? How are things in Santa Fe, New Mexico? And you and I were talking during the show, prior to the show, that you are 7,000 feet in altitude where you are.
We are. We're up in the mountains. People don't generally think about mountains in New Mexico, but northern New Mexico is very mountainous, very high. So the weather is, we have winter, and the weather can change very quickly when you're this high up.
So what have you been up to since you and I last talked? Like, you're always so busy. You're always doing so much. You're always helping so many people. You're busy making a positive difference in this world of ours. What possibly new could you be up to?
The word is bilocation, Rob.
Bilocation.
Yes. And this was not anything that I asked for. But the inner masters that I work with at one point said, well, do this. And so I did, and I realized that I could bilocate, and when I do that, I do it for healing purposes only, and I'm able to then work inside somebody's body at a deeper than molecular level. So instead of projecting consciousness, like is basically more of what a psychic does, I actually go to the person, and because I'm in my light body, I do not go so far into the bilocation as to produce another physical body, but from my light body, I can go into their body and work at very, very deep levels. And I'm having some really wonderful, interesting results from that.
So tell me, Misa, would this be the same as you having an out-of-body experience and taking your ethereal body to where the patient is and doing all the work within her ethereal body as well?
It's a little different, Rob. It's slightly different, and it's a little difficult to explain. I'm really going in my physical body, but I am not coalescing into the pure, dense physical, but I am actually going there. It's not like leaving the body. It's like creating another body at the location that I'm going to.
All right, stand by. You'll have to try and explain this better to me on the other side of this break. I find it fascinating and very interesting, Misa. Thanks very much for joining us again. Always great talking to you, dear friend.
Always.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Misa. Her website is www.misa, that's mesah.weebly.com, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break, hopefully in our own bodies. But around here, you just never know. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Exonation, Misa is my special guest of this hour, www.misa.weebly.com. And we were talking about Misa's work in using light body, and I must tell you that I'm totally fascinated by this concept, Misa. Can you describe it more in detail for us?
I will do my best.
Okay.
It's quite abstract, so it's a little difficult. What I experience is a part of myself leaving my body and going to where the location is of my client. Once I'm there, because I'm still in an energy body and not developing it into a second physical body, I can go into their body. I can go into the levels beyond the cellular level of their body and work at a atomic or subatomic level. That's a very deep level. And I don't go in with any expectation of how it's going to be or what needs to be done, because it's shown me. And it can be shown in a very metaphoric kind of way.
Go ahead, dear.
But then I'm able to work at that level, so I'm dealing with a very abstract part of the person. But I'm getting very good results with that. It's quite fascinating.
Would you say that this has something to do with the new field of quantum physics that is just, changing everything?
It is. Quantum physics is new to us, and science is now catching up with what used to be called the ageless wisdom. Because in the ageless wisdom, which are the wisdom teachings, very, very old,
right,
we'll talk about things like this. But for us in our culture, it's very new. But it definitely has to do with quantum physics, and it has to do with the plasticity of what reality actually is. We've been conditioned to think reality is very structured and not movable, but I find that everything is very plastic, and that's what quantum physics is saying. And just the act of observing something changes it.
How long does the healing take?
It will take different times for different situations, different people. Sometimes I will do it through the night. I like to do it at night when excuse me.
Sure.
When the client is quiet and sleeping, or very quiet anyway. And sometimes I will work for a while and then I'll leave it, and then 2 or 3 hours I'll come back and I'll do some more. Or sometimes I'll work for maybe an hour and then that's all that's needed. It just varies, and I can't predict what that's going to be. I have to just go with it and be willing to be flexible with it.
How effective is the healing?
I'm getting some really interesting results. I worked with one particular person who had a lot of physical stuff and was not getting any relief, and started working with him. And by gosh, he's feeling better and he's doing things that he wasn't doing before. And that was great because it's a good friend of mine. So I really enjoyed that he was getting that kind of result. It can work on the client's physical level or emotional level or mental level or in their energetic body. It can work with past life
My goodness.
issues. There doesn't seem to be any specific limit to what it can address.
All right, so take what is the physiology behind it? For example, I contact you and I say, Misa, I'd like you to do some light body work on me. What do you do from that point? Like here I am in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. You're in Santa Fe, New Mexico. How does this work?
Well, there's really no time or space. And when you're working in that kind of energy field, time or space have absolutely nothing to do with anything. So I can go anywhere and it will be just as effective as if you were sitting in my room and I was working on you. So the space, the location makes no difference whatsoever because we're dealing at that quantum energy level.
Right.
So there's a non-locality to it. It's everywhere.
So how long does the average session take?
Oh, I would say maybe an hour, hour and a half.
Wow. And are the results noticed immediately?
Usually, since I do it usually at night, the next morning I will contact the person, ask them what they experienced, talk about what I experienced. And so usually there's a time lapse before we connect. And if I'm doing it in the evening and they're sleeping, then they're not going to notice anything until the next morning. Although I have had people report they felt this energy while it was going on, or they felt me there,
right.
They felt me in their body, that kind of thing. Sometimes they can feel that.
Now, can this also be done in a group session?
I don't do it in a group session, Rob. When I'm in a group session, it's the energy that's coming through me that I call heart charge energy.
Right.
That manifests. The bilocation is a kind of a whole different animal. But the heart charge energy also is getting great results.
Really?
Yeah.
So what kind of conditions have you treated and what kind of results have you seen?
In our group sessions, we've seen a lot of psychological kinds of realizations or aha moments. Some people have spiritual experiences. Sometimes they feel the presence of a divine being. Sometimes the pain in the body will lessen or will disappear. At the very least, everybody says they experienced a deep sense of peace, which is wonderful.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Does you're psychic, you're clairaudient, you're clairsentient, you work with ascended masters. Are you finding that there seems to be some sort of shift happening? People are becoming more conscious of what is going on around them. Do you find this is very significant in the work that you do?
That's a good question. I think only in the sense of their awareness of what is going on inside them. I think that there are changes going on. We're entering a new area of space. The energy is changing. I know that I continually go through energetic changes, and I can feel them. They're very strong, and I hear other people talking about the same thing. So I think as that happens, and consciousness is raising, yes, people are becoming more aware if they're open to it, which not everybody is.
Do any of your ascended masters work with you when you are working as a light body?
They work with me in the group settings very strongly. Mm-hmm. The light body, I can't say they're not there, but my experience is so different. It's hard to determine. When I'm in a group setting, I will know who's coming through me, if they're bringing their energy through me, when it changes to a different master, or maybe it's the Divine Mother energy. I'm very aware of that, and I will see the energy as it comes through. The light body work, because I'm in the client's body, is a very different experience. I don't always experience that the master is working through me. I'm working more with my God presence, my higher presence.
Well, maybe you can explain to our listeners who are listening to us and they're saying, well, what are ascended masters?
They are actually beings that have gone through the physical experience that we're now experiencing, and they have developed beyond that, and they have wedded their human consciousness with their God consciousness, and therefore do not have to come back on the earth to have any more human experience. And there's no end to levels of consciousness. I always say there's only one energy that creates everything, but there is a hierarchy in consciousness. So there are some beings that their consciousness is so grand compared to what we understand that to us they are gods. And they have done that through their own spiritual work, their own recognition of their God self. Meanwhile, we're down here on planet Earth doing our best to connect with our higher self and dealing with the humanness that sort of keeps us in bondage until we can break through that.
But doesn't the humanness also keep us in check?
Well, I don't know. If you look at what's going on in the planet, there seems to be an awful lot that's not in check.
Well, I understand that, but
yeah,
I believe, or I've been told by many of my guests, that we are here to learn, that basically the life that we have now is that of coming to a boot camp where we learn a lot, we experience a lot, and if we had the ability to change everything at a spiritual level, wouldn't we just be negating the responsibility and the lesson that we've come here to learn?
Not necessarily, because we are here to learn, but there's no time limit on that. If you can all of a sudden become one with your God presence in consciousness, then you just don't need to be here anymore. The real lesson is to learn how to get back to our God being, our God consciousness, that is what we truly are. So once we do that, we don't have to keep coming back.
Misa, stand by, dear friend. You and I have to take a news break at the bottom of the hour. Exo Nation. Misa is my special guest. Her website is www.misa.weebly.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. Misa is my guest, a good friend of the X Zone. We'll both be back on the other side of this news break. Don't go away.
Listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Exonation, Misa's our special guest this hour, and her website is www.mesa.weebly.com, and that's mesah.weebly.com. And I had a thought as we were coming back into this hour, into this segment, I should say. You know, Misa, maybe you could do some body work on Donald Trump's hair.
I don't know if I'm up to that, Rob.
You know, I look at him on TV and the way... Craig, what's the name of that preacher that has his hair done, must have his hair done by the same guy? Oh, my gosh, I forget his name right now. But
Are you talking about Benny Hinn?
That's it.
Yeah.
The
comb-over. It's the comb-over effect.
You know, who are they trying to be, Homer Simpson?
Well, Benny Hinn, I think, had some change. I don't think he's got that same hairdo now.
Oh, really?
Yes. But he had it for years.
Yeah, I wonder what Donald Trump would look like bald.
We can only imagine.
You know what? I bet you he'd look like Daddy Warbucks in Annie.
He might.
Yeah. Listen, as an American, do you mind if I ask you a personal question a little bit off the beaten track of what we talk about here in the X Zone?
Sure, go ahead.
What do you think about the three-ring circus that is presently going on in the Republican camp as well as in the Democratic camp? You know, you guys have a big election coming up in November 2016. What do your guides tell you? And as a spiritual person, what do you think?
I think that it's a pretty sad situation, really. And I would always used to ask Spirit, who do you want in?
Mm-hmm.
And this time when I ask, it's just silence. There's no comment.
So Spirit is saying, ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. Right. Yeah. No, but like I was saying, to you during the break, thank God for you guys in America. I love having you as neighbors. I consider you and many other of the people that I have the pleasure of meeting in the in the States as acquaintances, but you're a friend. There's a big difference in my book. But if it wasn't for you and your political system, we'd have barely nothing to watch up here.
Well, we wouldn't have much to watch either because there's kind of a black hole on TV, except for this. And it's really you know what I don't agree with about politics is that it divides people. And this particular situation is dividing people even more. People are getting so irate and so upset and so angry. And that's not what we need. We need more unity. And to understand that, each party is the different side of the same coin, really.
You know what we should do one night here in the X Zone, so we should get a couple of our mediums on and have them channel the fathers, those who wrote the Declaration of Independence, and see what they think of the current political arena. That would be really great radio, wouldn't it, Craig? Craig, make it happen. Get a hold of Nikita and the other producers, and let's do that. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be so interesting.
Yeah.
Will you include me? Because I do medium work.
Yes, definitely. You are invited, dear friend.
That would be awesome.
In fact, who would you like to channel for us right now?
Oh, let's see if there's anybody that would like to talk.
I mean, besides Donald Trump, I know that he's got a lot of money, and maybe he has biolocated himself into the spiritual world as well.
Could be. I think I'll just not touch that one, Rob. Okay, let me see if... Well, I'll tell you this. Thomas Jefferson is getting a good hoot out of the whole political situation.
Really?
Yes.
Now, of course, for people who may not know who Thomas Jefferson was, he was, what was he? Oh, let me see if my memory serves me correct here. He was the Secretary of State. He was also a President of the United States. He had his home on a mountain in Virginia that he called Monticello.
Right.
2 or 3 daughters. I know his wife died, and she wanted to bring him a son. But his life is very well documented because he used to love to write.
Well, and he did tremendous discoveries in agriculture. He was very interested in agriculture and did a lot with working with plants. And I can't tell you details, but I do remember that. And also he had an affair with one of his slaves. That's very well documented.
Say it isn't so.
Oh, it's true. And it was a long-term affair. And her name was, I think her first name was Sally. Can't remember the last name.
Oh.
But she was a young woman that was a slave on his plantation.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Really that wasn't all that uncommon back then.
No, I understand it wasn't. But, still that's pretty pathetic when you think that somebody like Thomas Jefferson, who was married, had children, and still had an extramarital affair because it wasn't common back then.
Well, I think that it wasn't well known. I think it was more common than we think, but it was not well known, and it certainly wasn't spoken about.
So Thomas is having a good laugh about Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz.
He is having a laugh about it. I've never connected with him before. He seems like he was had a very good sense of humor, and he's chuckling about the whole thing.
One thing that I think that people seem to forget, that when the Declaration of Independence was written and the Constitution, it was many, many years ago. And I think what happens is they try to apply something that was written all those years ago in today's time and age, where without making any changes for the change of time. Does that make sense?
Yes, kind of like the Bible.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I often wonder, Misa, how the Bible would be written if it was written today without any previous knowledge of it.
That would be very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And there was so much that was not put into the Bible and so much that was taken out of the Bible for political reasons.
Right, at the Council of Nicaea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
then, who knows what they would come up with, depending on who was writing it today, what it would be like.
Yeah, especially with everything we know today, astronomy, science, physics, geography, wow. But you know what? No matter what people say about the Bible or religious books with a positive effect, is that as long as the book makes people take responsibility and become better people, like the 10 Commandments, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely.
Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not this, that, and the other thing.
Right. And really the Bible has really truth to it.
Yeah.
Whether it's literal or not, I don't think is the real question. The value of it is that the truth that it contains within it, that is the same back then as it is now. And I always make a distinction between reality and truth, because everybody has their own reality.
That's right.
But truth is truth.
Yeah.
And when you connect with the energy of what truth is, that never changes. Never changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But reality changes all the time.
That is so true. That is so true. It would be very interesting to have the ability to read the unedited version, as so many of the scholars, the saints, those who wrote books. For example, the what's it called, the book of Judas, or the Gospel according to Judas. People think that he was a bad guy, and yet there are so many religious scholars who say, well, he was actually protecting the group. He wasn't this devious person who betrayed Christ for no reason. Apparently, according to some scholars, Christ knew exactly what was going on, and this was part of the prophecy that had to be done in order for the prophecy to be fulfilled.
That's right. He had a part to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we are willing to play the part that the universe has designed for us, then things will happen that will be of great value. When we get out of the way and we say, okay, use me however it's best to use me,
yes,
and I will step aside, my ego will step aside, and if I need to be Judas and looks like I'm the one to betray Christ, then so be it. I'll play my part, the greater good, so to speak, the greater message to come forth.
Who was it who said that everyone on earth is an actor and the world is our stage?
Oh, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He's an ascended master now.
Really?
Yes, he's Saint Germain.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Now, you've been ordained twice.
Yes.
Let me see. Ordained Gnostic priest and non-denominational Christian minister.
Right.
How does your faith play in the work that you do as a clairaudient, clairsentient, spiritual reader, healer, teacher, and animal communicator? Now, before you answer, I would just like to say that there are many people who believe that anything to do with psychics or anything to do with spirituality or anything to do with healing is going against the Bible and the Bible's teaching. And I say, well, no, you kidding? The Bible is the number one book on the paranormal.
Yes.
You've got so many examples. You've got angels, you have levitation, you have dreams, you have, you've got UFOs, Ezekiel's wheel. And there is so much in the Bible that we look at as those who deal in the paranormal and parapsychology and say, wow, there's nothing wrong with what people are doing because they've done it in the Bible. So having said that, how does your religious beliefs and your spirituality work as a clairaudient, clairsentient, and the other wonderful work that you do?
I consider myself more spiritual than religious. I don't follow a specific religion because I think that religions are like branches coming off the trunk of the same tree. And they're different forms for people at different times. And so one person will relate to Christianity, one person will relate to Hinduism, but they're coming from the same, all of those branches come off of the same trunk. To me, the trunk is the truth, and the branches are just different forms. If you get into a religion deep enough, and if you learn to understand it, like the Christian world, we'll talk about, well, the Hindus worship many, many, many gods, but they don't. They worship many aspects of the one God, and so they give those aspects characteristics, kind of personalities, so that they can relate to them better. But the people that really understand Hinduism know that they know there's one force.
Sure.
So I don't really follow a specific religion because I think that they're all coming from the trunk of the same tree, and I would rather be in the trunk
than in the tree.
Than in a branch. Yeah.
Something else that I learned many years ago when I was studying the Bible, when I was trying to find myself in the world of religion, because at one time I wanted to be a member of the clergy. Because I found it fascinating, and I was kicked out of the Anglican Church when I was 11 because I asked too many questions.
I had kind of the same the same experience.
Like, and it was so ironic because I thought we were supposed to ask questions if we didn't understand. So and needless to say, many years later, I returned to the flock under a different shepherd. But I realized that the Bible is filled with metaphors.
Yes.
It's not to be taken verbatim, and the best example I can give anyone about this is the psalm that says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," which means, all right, fine, follow the examples of.
Right.
We're not sheep, we're people, but follow the examples of. And I find it so ironic that so many people, to this very day, take it for its verbatim words, that this is what it truly means, instead of opening up the mind to the possibilities and saying, well, let's see, it was written so many thousands of years ago. What was the message?
Well, look at the wars that are being fought over literal translations of religious texts.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's metaphoric. There's many, many, many layers to the Bible. And as you grow in wisdom, you get another layer of knowledge from the Bible. But if you stay superficial, it really doesn't make sense. If you read it literally, it makes no sense.
You see, I also believe that the Bible, or any religious book that a person adheres to, is the true book of life and their fruit from the tree of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about angels.
Okay.
All right, Misa, always great talking to you. Exonation, Misa is my special guest, www.misa.weebly.com, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd love to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio site where you can listen to the X-Zone 24/7, 365, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. Misa and I will return on the other side of the short break, so don't go away. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Welcome back, everyone. Misa is my special guest, www.misa.weebly.com. First of all, Misa, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's always great talking to you, my friend. And I have to ask you this question, and I'm asking our guests who come on the show this week and this past week, who know anything about angels. If you believe in angels. Misa.
Wait, you're asking me if I believe in angels?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. The reason I'm asking you that is I had a guest on 2 weeks ago. And this guest, we had a guest on the show about 2 weeks ago. And what she told me just floored me. She told me that angels were cosmic demons.
Oh, my.
Can you believe that?
Oh, my. I'm not sure why anybody would believe that, because they are cosmic beings.
Yeah.
But they're certainly not demons.
You know, I've been doing the show for 25 years, over 3,800 guests. And this is the first time in all my years doing this show, and I've checked with other friends that I know that also are in the media that deal in the same subject matter that I do, if they have ever heard of an angel being called a cosmic demon. And they were as surprised as I was by this comment. Why do you think someone would actually say this?
I have no idea. That floors me. I really have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they have had some kind of experience with something that was not really an angel, I can't think of why anybody would think that.
I just thought I'd ask you, because maybe you had heard something over the years of doing this that might explain this. I'm at a loss for an explanation with this one. I really am. All I know is that when she said it, I was rather upset. You know, because I believe in angels. I've seen angels. I know they're real, and I've never heard anyone ever say anything negative about an angel.
She might have seen something, or she might have seen some kind of dark being or demonic, quote unquote, demonic force, and maybe it looked like the form of an angel or something like that, but that's the only thing I could think of that might cause that.
Misa, we've got about a minute left before we have to say so long for tonight. What is your final message? What are your final thoughts for the listening audience of the X Zone Nation tonight?
My final thoughts. Well, I would say that the most important work we have to do on the planet is to reconnect with that aspect of us that is never changing. It's always there. It's our higher self. It does not go through the difficult experiences. It does not go through the difficult emotions. It is just always there for us. And as we learn to connect with that, life gets so much better. And you know, there's a saying that I think it was St. Francis that said, "What you're looking for is where you're looking from."
I love that.
I do too.
Misa, thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet back here in the X Zone. Until then, be well and be safe, my friend.
Thank you. God bless, Rob.
Take care, Misa. Once again, X Zone Nation, Misa has been my guest. www.misa.weebly.com is her website. And I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Dare to believe, dare to be heard, because this is the place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X Zone, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go away.